Okay, afternoon to everybody. I hope you have a good lunch time and you make a lot of network, at the same time eating the delicious Portuguese food. I would like to thank the AGEP and the FIN's organization and to mention the fantastic work that Alberto and Carolina is doing in this organization. They challenged me to moderate this panel on the myths and truths on China. I would like to make a small introduction to this topic before I pass the words to the panel. Well, China has always been a land of myth, mystery, adventure, and dream for the Westerns. On the 13th century, Marco Polo came back to Venice with tales of cities of 1 million people, unheard on those days, with unimaginable wealth, exotic food, and strange customs. The 18th century, adventures brought tales of rulers enlightened by the wise thoughts of Confucius, and in last century, China became land brainwashed by the little red books. All of us, I suppose, have one. On the 21st century, China showed up as a success story of fantastic rising economic country, an emerging world superpower with 1.4 billion eager consumers. Maybe the inconsistent West perception of China is more the Western desire to see in China what they want to see. I have lived and worked many years in Macau, and work also with mainland Chinese market. And over those 18 years, I have seen misunderstandings and myths emerge again and again in Western deals with Chinese business people and consumers. Many people put their money into China without understanding the place at a deep enough level. Instead, they see myths. The myths vary from positive to negative. What they have in common is that they distort the truth. They are created mostly in attempt to answer one of the most desperate management questions. Why isn't our plan working in China? Some myths on China I have verified and listened very often. China is a 1.4 million consumer market. Without Guanxi, you don't do business in China. China is westernizing. Chinese don't trust foreigners. Chinese are among the toughest negotiators in the world. Chinese create something out of nothing. They see business where nobody sees business. Well, they are much more. But with these 6 myths, maybe we can develop some discussion on this panel. So our aim with this panel is to remove the myths and look at the truths behind them. So I will pass the floor to the first speaker, which is Miguel. Miguel is there. He asked us to be the first because he has an urgent meeting. And Miguel is the chairman of the Association for the Great Bay Area, and is also the board president of the Waters of Gaia, I suppose. So all the water we are drinking is supervised by him. And we are very interested in knowing his experience and what is the myths he has been following, and what is the conclusions, the truths, what is experience with the China business. Thank you, Miguel.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. And first of all, I want to say sorry because it's supposed to I be here at the time and after my presentation, but I was forced invited for a meeting with the mayor of the city behind here, Porto. In fact, I am the CEO of Águas de Gaia, that is water and sanitation utility of the city at the other side of the bridge, other side of the river. and but I'm not here in this condition. I'm here because I'm also the president of Association for the Cooperation between Portugal and Great Bay Area in China. And of course, I'm sorry because I will do a short presentation and I must leave. And of course, my really sorry for my colleagues here of the panel, and of course, sorry for all of you because it's a situation that I don't like to do it, but today I must do it. So the meeting that I was forced to invited is already in progress. I was there at the beginning. I live to be here, and I must go again for the meeting. So I will try to present in a short version presentation what is the Great Bay Area and what we think in terms of cooperation with this area, and well, try to speak a little bit about the myth that is the big issue of this panel. So the Great Bay Area that maybe somebody of you already know is this area that you can see in this map, and this area is composed by 9 cities of the Guangdong province plus Macau and Hong Kong. So is a very big area on China, and is a political project of the Chinese government, as I will try to show you. Some data, not so important for this presentation, but we can see that we have 3 types of cities. The core cities that are in the center of the region, and of course is the main known cities are Guangzhou and Shenzhen, very known cities from the high technology, for example Shenzhen, and about the international business in Guangzhou, and also this area near Macau, and another tier cities that you can see in this map. So they are divided for east, east, and north, and also divided for trial of importance that the government did define. So in terms of population, you can see also here the population of this area is 70 million of inhabitants, so very big in terms of population. And of course we can see here also a comparison in terms of GPD between some cities of this area, and of course Shenzhen, Hong Kong and Guangzhou is the most strong cities in terms of economic data, as we can see here in this graphic, but a lot of the cities contribute for the GPD of this region. Some also economic data. I will speak a little more about this, but is important to know that this region is very important in terms of China, in terms of export, and this represents more than 52% of the exportation of China. We can also compare this Great Bay with another Great Bays around the world. For example, Tokyo Bay, New York Bay Area, and San Francisco area also. And you can see that Great Bay Area is the most the area that have more population, is very is very near in terms of GDP between Tokyo, but in terms of area, population, and also the contribution for the sorry, I'm so sorry. okay, in terms of, for example, passengers at the airports and so on, is the most biggest bay area in the world. So, in terms of, as I already told you, this is a political project of the government of China. So the government wants to develop this area to be the main area in terms of international commerce and international relationships, and of course that contribute to the financial system of the China. Another comparison is not very important. This the important is here. So in terms of communications, the main point is that this area will be all connected by airports, by trains, by roads, and for example, this bridge in Macau that connect Macau to Hong Kong, and is the biggest bridge at the world, and have 55 kilometers. So here you can see that the main point of this mindset of this project is that we must can be in other city of this area unless 1 hour of trip. So we can use plane, we can use the port, the seaport, we can use the express train, we can use also the roads, so cars, but we must be able to be in the other city in less of 1 hour. So this is very important in terms of course, in terms of business, in terms of commerce. So you can see here the main investments that the government are doing in this area: airports, seaports. You can see here the seaports of the Grand Bay. The Zhuhai near Macau is also a very important port. The metro of Macau. So a lot of investments that are be doing now in this area. But what is important to know also is that the Chinese government divided this region in cities and economic areas. For example, if we look for Macau, that have a big connection with Portugal, Macau is in this project identified by World Tourism and Leisure Center and Portuguese-speaking cooperation platform. But for example, if we look for Hong Kong, Hong Kong is the International Finance, Shipping and Trade Center. But if we look for Shenzhen, is the high-tech center, and all cities have one economic specialization. So this is the main idea of this political project. Of course, the big challenge is to attract the big brands, the big companies of China, for example, in Shenzhen, to be a very big hub in terms of technology. And if we today think about the FG, for example, all these companies that are developing the FG are located in Grand Bay, in this case in Shenzhen. So investment and development is one big challenge for the Grand Bay. Of course, is very connected with the One Road initiative that here our moderator is very specialist in this project, and have some opportunities in terms of international cooperation and international commerce. What is the paper of Macau? And I want to use some minutes to speak about Macau, because Macau have a connection with Portugal, historic connection, but is also in this project is used by the Lusophone platform. So is a platform for connection the Portuguese-speaking countries between these countries and of course China. So I will use some minutes to speak about Macau. So Macau in this project is identified by the big leisure center and platform for the Portuguese-speaking countries. What does this mean? This mean that can be an opportunity to do business, of course, but is not, in my opinion, is not a is not a high-speed road. So, of course, is a platform that, in terms of economic diplomacy, this is appointed by the Chinese government, but is not a high-speed road. It means that we must, of course, doing our work, we must do what is doing in terms of economic diplomacy, and of course can be an approach between the countries, but is not, of course, open door to do business. So Portugal can, of Portugal and Portuguese-speaking countries can have this kind of opportunity to look for this area and to do business and research in terms of, for example, Internet of Things, environment, mobility, in terms of green energy, for example. And these opportunities are open now, and I think that during the pandemic the relationships was a little bit slowly, because we know we didn't travel to China, the country was closed. Now is closed already, but we already start to can travel to China. So of course, we lose 2 years, but I think that we have a lot of things to do at the future. So I think that I will finish my time. I only want to say that these Portuguese-speaking countries, in my opinion, have a lot of opportunities with China with this project of Grand Bay. In our association, we have members in Portugal, in Macau, and in Hong Kong, and also in Shenzhen. We trying to do this connection between the investors and the opportunities at the field, but also we want to develop some cultural programs. We trying to connect our two countries and the culture, because in my opinion, in our opinion, if we know more the two countries, we can do more business and we can know more opportunities. So thank you very much. I will stay a little, some minutes more to listen my colleagues, but how I said at the beginning, I'm really sorry. I must leave in a few minutes. So thank you very much, and a very nice fin for all of you. And I will show you again in the network program, and also tomorrow in the gala dinner. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Miguel. Miguel Rodrigues is leaving us again, but I would like to ask if in the floor somebody wants to put a question. 1 or 2 questions, short ones. Please raise the hand if you have any questions to him. No questions?
I forgot to tell that I have here my vice president of the association, so maybe Camilo can answer some questions.
I know, but I can make you 2 questions.
You're not going to leave easy.
The first question is, did you try to make business with China?
Yes, I already did business. Yes, I already tried, and maybe I was lucky. I already did. Not now, because now I have another job, another position. I'm CEO of a public company, so I can do private business at this time. But in the other life, I did business with China. And yes, it's not easy. But when we can do the guanxi, that is Chinese expression that means friendship and good relationship and so on. When we have this, when we do this, I don't know the name in English. We close the first business is a bridge for other business.
So guanxi is not a myth.
Yes,
it's a truth. It's still a truth.
It's still the truth.
Although
in my opinion,
many people say that guanxi is not so important anymore.
Yeah.
But in your experience, it's a truth.
Yes.
Okay. And Macau is a myth or a truth?
Well, now start to be a myth. Why? Because Macau have a very a strong connection with us, with Portuguese. We have some ideas about the history, about the past. I like so much when I be in Macau. When I was to Macau to the first time, and when I put my feet on the when I leave the boat and I see at the first time a road in China, a road in Portuguese.
Portuguese
the naming, yes, was very, very emotional.
Yeah.
I remember that I think that I crying, you know. And when I go to Macau, I'm feeling at home. But we must know that at the time, Macau is China, so we don't listing a lot of people speaking Portuguese. Of course, we have the Portuguese school and so on and so on, the Portuguese club, everything we have to feeling at home. But we are not at home right now.
Okay, so we can conclude that Macau is China, is South China, is including in the Great Bay Area. And for us, there is a kind of emotion and also the idea, maybe it's a myth, that we can utilize Macau, it will facilitate or not. Well, we can discuss this on another event because it's an important point, I suppose. How can the Portuguese speaking language countries utilize Macau and see it at which point it's a myth or a truth that we can utilize Macau to go into China business?
One important point is that in Macau have a Chinese government department that's name is Forum Macau. That is nothing about the CPLP. Is a official diplomacy forum from the Chinese government. That means first that Chinese government looks for us, for Portugal and all Portuguese-speaking countries, with they want to be near us and they want to work with us, but it's not an independent department. It's a Chinese government. Is a part of the Chinese diplomacy.
Yeah.
So it's the two sides of the coin, you know.
Yes. That is a very important point. We didn't have yet a clear picture what is the Forum Macau really doing, what is his role in the Chinese diplomacy, and how we can work with them, and to understand that they are there as ICEP is in Portugal to promote the Chinese trade and government policies. And of course, they create some instruments like the fund, China, Portuguese-speaking countries. But we have to understand more about that. So maybe we can organize some discussion further, and we would like to have the participation of everybody with views from the different countries which are here represented. So Miguel, thank you very much. I let you go now. Thank you.
Really sorry.
Okay, no, it's a pleasure. See you later. So I will ask now Laura Escalada to present this discussion. She is the the founder of Ni Hao, which is important, I suppose, main link between Chinese, Spanish, and Latin American business people. She has a background on communication and marketing. She makes courses, programs in Madrid and in Shanghai, I suppose, yeah?
That's it.
Thank you, Laura, please.
Well, first of all, thank you so much to Egypt, to June, and especially to Alberto for inviting me to this great initiative, and also, you know, to be like the speaker between all those Spanish business people and Chinese business people that today are following us through WeChat, which is over there, and also wanted to say hi to them. Well, first of all, just to have an idea, I'm here representing Ni Hao Conecta. Ni Hao Conecta is the main business platform between Spain and China. In the last month, we have done like many initiatives related to Latin America. And due to our last trip to Latin America, we realized how important was to make Brazil and Portugal part of this. That's the reason why right now, Ni Hao Conecta is based on China and Ibero-America opportunities. I'm not here to talk only about our business platform, which I would love you all to welcome on it. I'm here also to share with you some realities, some facts we usually experience when talking with Chinese market. First of all, I just want to express that when doing business with China, as you said, it's not more difficult than doing business with any other nationality. And that's our perspective. We do believe like doing business with China is about learning, about living in China, and also about knowing how is their culture and how many things we have in common. This morning, I was hearing some of the conferences here, which were amazing, and I really like the idea of the triangle they were presenting here. So this is our triangle. We do believe in this connection between China, Latin America, and Spain. If you see here, I introduced Portugal because we really do believe Spain and Portugal are the first step when Chinese people want to go into Europe and into Latin America. And just so I can express with you a couple of ideas. Right now, when we talk about China, some of the myths, it is said that it is a really complicated context, the media pressure, the pandemic, many facts let us see that China is not going through the best moment. But the reality, when talking about reality, is that China is the first potential power. The reality is that China is the Asia-Pacific hub. It's not only about going to China, it's all the countries surrounding China that make us see how important it is. Before you were saying the population is 1,500 million people. So we really should assume it is the first potential power. And another thing about all the opportunities right now we are seeing regarding China and regarding all those internationalization projects. So here I just wanted to show you, sorry, it is in Spanish, but I couldn't find it in Portuguese or English. So here you can see that China is the country with more diplomatic representation in the world. And they are increasing this representation. This means that they really want to go into internationalization processes. And that's something we all should take into consideration. Today, I only have 10 minutes, I think, so I just wanted to give like three main ideas. The first one is regarding Chinese business context, let's say, and there are two main ideas that we always love to express, and is that when doing businesses in China, we all should consider that it's not the same to open a new market than selling in a market. And that's something we all should take into consideration when doing things with China. And also another thing I really want to point out today is that we shouldn't go to China just to sell. We should go to China to teach. It's a different culture and we still have so many things to learn from each other. So that conception of going just to China to sell is not the right point of view if you want a business in the long term. Those two ideas, I think I will be really happy if you all take that idea into consideration. And then for sure, like the opportunities in this huge market are amazing. Another thing I wanted to express today is about the Chinese cultural conception. One of the things that I really like about doing businesses between Latin America and China, for example, is how important are for both cultures the networking protocol and facts, for example, as language. Portuguese, Spanish, Chinese, we all love to share moments in the table. That means surrounding a lunch, doing business in lunch, and that's something you were saying before this morning, like how important it is networking. Also, another thing regarding the cultural change Chinese are also facing is regarding digitalization. And I don't usually, focus on this part. And today I assume we are all related to Chinese market and trends. But this is something we should never forget. And is that in China, they are not used to our same social media. And because of that, it's really, really important to pay attention on all the trends regarding digitalization, regarding e-commerce, and regarding those digital opportunities we are studying through China. Here you have some pictures, some examples. Right now we are posting on WeChat and Xiaohongshu, just in case any of you have those social connections. And the third key, I wanted to explain to you, those three regarding about business culture. Second, regarding more to culture and let's say digitalization. And third of all, one of our main steps, main areas of activity, business tourism. We work a lot on business programs. We try to help governments, countries, and cities to project in China. We noticed there are 5 types of tourism Chinese in general love. That's called business tourism, health, gastronomic, shopping, and cultural. We are focusing on business tourism because we are sure China will open. China will open not soon, but will. First of all, then again, so sorry, it's in Spanish, but I guess the numbers are the same for both. Let's remind, 1,500 million people. 600 million people are high class. The normal, let's say, the amount of money they spend per day when they travel is 2,000 euros per day. It's a really important tourism profile to take into consideration. And just some reality, some facts. How is the Chinese tourist when they travel? Usually, the average time is around 11 days. They like to go to not only one city, but 3 main cities. And they usually spend more of their money on gastronomy, cultural, and shopping. Those are really important aspects to take into consideration when doing campaigns regarding tourism and projecting cities in another country. And this one, I really wanted to share this with you. Yesterday, well, we had a really bad luck with the flight. It was delayed. Well, but as soon as we arrived to Porto, I saw this poster. And I said, okay, Portugal, you are doing really, really great. Like the first thing I saw when I came to Porto was this poster regarding China. We've seen, like in Spain, we are helping the government and also Madrid to project that image of the city in China. For us, Portugal is a good example of how to do things really well with China. And just about this morning, I was seeing how important it is to do good networking, to let's care about the relations. So I just wanted to show some of our last events. You can see we took the city of Valencia, we took the mayor to China, and we realized, like if you don't make those connections in real, then you don't have that many opportunities to build a solid image in China. You can also see how important commercial fairs are in China, and also about the communication media, regarding China market and China, let's say, protocol. Here you can also see some of our last activities in Colombia, in Spain, and also, a couple in Mexico. We always try to make Chinese main authorities feel happy and warmful with our activities. And that's something I can see I'm feeling right now here in FIN. And also regarding, again, networking. Chinese bureaucracy and Chinese people, as same as Portuguese or Spanish, we do care about, the connection. Here, and I like to stress, I think you all know one of them, are the main international advisors of Ni Hao Conecta. We do believe in internationalization, and we do believe that the most important experts are the ones that have lived or at least done businesses with China. I think I've been on time, but Ni Hao Conecta, I just want you all to know, is at your disposal for anything you can think we can help. We will be so happy to be part of your programs too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Laura, for being on time and for your interesting presentation. I think you could you can raise the questions after all the participations speaking. So now I will ask David Kovacs, which has a lot of experience in China. He works many years in Asia, over a decade. You work for a SOE company in Chengdu.
I don't have to introduce myself.
No, everybody is expecting a very interesting presentation from you. And maybe you can tell us something about these myths. Some of them already mentioned by me.
Thank you, Dan. So good afternoon, everyone. Daja Hao. I hope you have a great time in Porto. I'm really excited to be here in Porto. This is my first time at FIN. And I hope to return in the future every time, because it's a fantastic opportunity to make, some new connections, see new people, learn a lot from each other. Also, it's a good excuse to get some good Portuguese food and get together with my friends. So hope to return soon again. So we already heard a lot about China today, but let me raise the question. So who is doing business with China? Raise your hand if you do business with China. Few people, okay. How many of you have been to China? A lot, okay. How many of you speak Chinese? Still in progress, ni hao, yeah. So look, we are here today to expand our network, learn a bit more about China. I will do my best to help you with that. So my name is David Kovacs. I'm Executive Director of APEC-ECBA Digital Trade Innovation Committee. I'm gonna talk a little bit about our organization and China, which directly raising two questions. One is, what is APEC, and why am I talking about China? So in a reversed order, I've been, more or less spent over a decade in China, working for international organizations, government, and businesses. So I accumulated quite a good experience in terms of differentiating between when they say yes means yes, and when they say yes means no, and how to make from the no a yes. So that's a pretty good experience. Apart from working in China, I worked in Budapest, Brussels, and all around the world. I've earned my degree in Oxford University and also studied finance at Columbia. But more importantly, what makes me relevant, I've spent 10 years in China, starting as a student learning Mandarin. But then later on, why I'm here today is because in 2017, I've got an interesting offer. One of my ex-colleagues is calling me up like, hello, David, how you been doing? Would you like to come back to China? I'd say, why not? What do you have to offer? So my colleague says, well, the local government of Chengdu, which is the fourth largest city in China, is looking for someone from Europe who has good background in international development, understands the government, speaks Mandarin. They would like to recreate someone. I would say, yeah, sure. But you know, I speak Chinese, but I'm not Chinese. So how would it be possible? I fly to China anyway. And one day or another, I get an offer. So I actually was the first foreigner and first European working in Western China for a fully government entity and state-owned enterprise. So I was the director of a state-owned enterprise from 2017 to 2020, being in charge of foreign direct investment, which means it was my job to help similar business people just like all of you to expand in China, invest in China, and connect with local partners. And in 2020, arriving to APEC, and what is APEC? I've joined APEC. So APEC is standing for the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. If you take a look at the map, and I try to use the sign, yes, so the two sides of the Pacific Ocean. So we had 21 member economies, starting from Canada, United States, Mexico, Peru, Chile, and on the other side of the Pacific Ocean, we have Russia, Korea, Japan, most importantly, China, Philippines, Australia, New Zealand, Vietnam, and so on. So we are economic cooperation. But just to let you understand the size of it, because we already talked about the Portuguese-speaking countries today. So these 21 member economies, they cover 2.9 billion people. This is quite a significant market. So we contribute 60% of the global GDP and over half of the trade. So for us, China is a really important partner and a really important partner for trade and the One Belt, One Road cooperation. So our secretariat is based in Beijing. So we receive guidance from the Chinese Ministry of Commerce, China International Electric Commerce Center, and from APEC. Our secretariat was established, ECBA was established in 2001, so it was quite a long time ago. And if you think about that, ECBA is standing for Electric Commerce and Digital Trade. So in 2001, digital trade was quite a different thing. At that time, you didn't really have eBay, Amazon, all these popular sites. It was just starting out. And as for a fun fact, actually Alibaba, the previous edition of Alibaba, was growing out of this collaboration. But what are we exactly doing? So we have two offices, one in Beijing, one in Chengdu, and we are helping globally forming relations in the field of trade, logistics, innovation, digitalization, and investment, private equity, and so on. We are doing it with the 21 member economies of APEC, highlighting China from that, but also linking it to new partners with the European Union, Africa, and Latin America. So today I had the pleasure to learn a little bit more about the Portuguese-speaking countries. It's a tremendous market, 260 million people, if I'm correct. So this is why we are here today, to connect with you and, you know, step a foot at the market. We have a huge delegation from Angola. Angola is a great entry point for the whole African market. Portugal is a great entry point for the European Union. And let us be your entry for China. So some of our flagship events, we are organizing biannually a ministerial meeting. So the way how APEC works, in a very similar way, you might know the European Commission, there are different fields, topics, and secretariats. So for us, we are dealing mainly with digitalization and trade. So biannually, we are organizing in China the Electric Commerce Forum. And hopefully after the pandemic, we can welcome you in China again. Some of our events, we have been actively involved. So as I mentioned, we are not only working with the APEC member nations, we are also collaborating with the European Union and other parts of the world as well, especially now that we have this great opportunity and more free trade agreements to work together. We live in a turbulent time. We have a pandemic, there is a war happening. So it's really important to try to form more and more connections. So even when you can't travel, find the local partners. We heard about Guangxi, and still be keen on doing business because there is a good market waiting for you. We've been not only active in doing business, but we believe in social responsibility as well. So during the pandemic, our organization was helping both within China and also globally, taking care of donations, arranging donations, and so on. So this is what we are doing again. And I'm using a Chinese presentation because I know that we have a lot of followers online following us today from China as well, and Chinese-speaking parts of the world. So we are doing international collaboration, innovation, trade, logistics, and investment. And one of our newest projects, and we would like to invite all of you to join us, is because you are here today to do business with China, and we are developing a global collaboration for doing trade and digital trade. So we believe the future is not necessarily about you have to travel there in person. We can still be a reliable partner in China, doing trade and forming relationships and doing business. But we also have the innovation arm of the organization. So we're looking for innovative companies and partners if you would like to expand in China, startups, scale-ups, and so on, because there is a fantastic market. China is not for everyone, but ignoring China would be a massive mistake. This is a huge market. You need to be able to think globally. We already heard it today, but there must be some localization as well with the product, and we are here to help you with that. So I'm looking forward to get in touch with all of you, and I hope you're going to have a lot of questions later on, so I can help you to demystify a little bit China and help you to grow your business in China. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, David Kovac. It was a very interesting life experience. Now, to finalize these presentations, I'll ask Jorge Tavares da Silva. He's basically a professor and a researcher at Aveiro University, which is a university in north of Portugal. Well, he's becoming a little bit tired of being seated. And please, George.
Good afternoon. I would like to thank to the invitation. It's an honor to be here and to talk a little bit about, in a short presentation, about business. In fact, I come from university, so I'm not doing business at this moment, but in fact, currently, I analyze and I study studies of Chinese economy and the Chinese market. And of course, I'm going to talk a little bit about this. Well, I'm going to start about the idea in 1985 when a business strategist, Kenichi Omaya, Japanese, when he talked at that time about a book, in a book, he talked about the triad power. He joined three great countries, or two great areas in the business, United States, he joined Japan and European Union, the three great powers at that time. China was not in that kind of three great powers, but things were at that time changing gradually. The world was changing, markets were opened, regimes transformed, politically and economically, and the previous third world countries, in fact, changed to emerging countries, giving new opportunities to business at that time. And companies went to that kind of countries to develop its own business and its own ideas. A lot of new brands came up in these new emerging markets and new emerging countries. A set of new brands and markets for the business in the emerging world. China was one of the countries that followed this path. It transformed itself internally, the Geigenkaifang, the reform and opening up process, and became attractive to the investment, and the large-scale outlet for goods. We know that the name of the factory of the world. From the initial phase of introduction cheap products, China transformed and became a modern, technologically advanced economy and attractive market for many companies and international investors. So, what opportunities does China have for foreign investors today? What secrets does China for the investment and the new companies? Well, in my opinion, I say that the first great secret is nothing more than having good ideas and good products to take advantage in China. But there are a lot of advices we can take to enter in China, in this huge market. In fact, it's a lot of markets inside the same market, but it's a lot, we can find a lot of advice. I can give you some of my ideas. The first of all, of course, is planning, a good planning to introduce to entering in this huge market. Companies should understand the Chinese market very well. They should visit, they should understand how it works, so they should visit the country. It's the first advice I can give to the investors. They conduct or should conduct a market research very well. Make choice after that. Define the strategy. It's very important to choose what kind of strategy they should choose to enter the country. If they want to export and only export, it could be directly or not directly, but export. Or it could be a joint venture, joining a partner in the country, or simply doing direct investment. But they need, the investors, they need to choose the kind of strategy very well. So another important idea in this concept, understand very well the market, the political context, the habits, the legal framework or the legal requirements, very important to do business in any part in the world, but specifically in this case in China. Labor conditions, understand very well. All these kind of problems, all these kind of issues should be analyzed very well. Social traditions, the Guanxi, very well, very important to understand how is the social networks between Chinese. Competition, the market competition in this kind, in specific areas, in specific products. Commercial aspects, traditions and other kind of requirements in terms of market. Logistical conditions also. How, if we need to deliver our products inside of the country, we need to understand how are the logistic conditions in the country. Another important advice in terms of analyzing this kind of problems in terms of strategy, I think, is the institutional cooperation. Investors should understand and should look at a lot of institutions to understand how do they cooperate with that kind of institutions. For instance, the chambers of commerce, the agents, the commercial and industrial association, the consulting companies, for instance, a lot of institutions, a lot of companies that can help in this kind of strategy. Another, of course, there are lots of emerging areas that are very important at this moment in China. The agriculture, the education, environmental technology, healthcare, energy, food production. All these kind of areas are very important in China today. We have more, but I'm giving some of these important areas to invest, to do business in China. Another point, very important today, developing business in China, in my opinion, is the social media. I think that as you know, the Chinese use the social media very well. The Weibo, the WeChat, the Sina, Weibo, one of the most popular sites, some of them are the most popular sites in China with great penetration. If you want to penetrate in the country, if you want to do business in China, you should choose this kind of technology with this kind of social media to show your products. It's a very good opportunity to sell in the country. You need to be patient and flexible, of course, that's very important also in China. In the part, as I said before, part of the strategy could be online. Why not online? And good social relations is another advice, giving the Guanxi or using the Guanxi and socialization. It's also very important in the country. Narrow down your market, because as you know, China is a huge country, very huge. We should choose one part of the country to invest, to do business, because it is a better strategy to introduce or enter in the country. Easier at the same time. So I think, in my opinion, we should choose, or it's a good opportunity to free trade areas, because it's very easy to use the free trade areas to do business. Why not the Great Bay Area, for instance, we talked here before, to do business in a new country, in a new company? Because they have a world-class innovation and technology hub and a fast-moving city cluster for emerging industries. So it's it's a great opportunity to invest in this area. There's also a huge financial integration system. Capital flows by expanding the scale, scope, and channels of cross-boundary. Use the renminbi, for instance, another very interesting solution for investment. Promote infrastructural connectivity, as you know, between electronic payment systems in the region, and promote cross-boundary investment. So, and you also have in this area the social betterment, aiming to support Hong Kong and Macau investors in setting up pension and other social service facilities. So for international investment, it's a good opportunity to use these kind of areas, free trade areas, with lots of facilities, with lots of institutions. It's very important. It's a good opportunity to start by this part of China and enter in the market, because they start in this area, and you can, after that, you can go to the other parts of the country. So this is all. It's a short presentation. This is all I want to say here. Is great. In general, these ideas are the main topics about how to doing business in China, and that's all. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, George. So we have here different approach to our topic today. And now, please make your questions. We have around 10 minutes, more or less. So please do. We have, yeah, you need the microphone, please. Yeah, Gabriela, please.
Is it on? Hello, thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation, all of you. It was very enlightening. I've been to China before, but I would like to ask, considering it's a huge country, several different languages inside and everything, using Frank Sinatra's words, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere kind of region of China, or the approach is really different from each region, considering your market or your, for somebody who's going there to the first time, which one would be the place for you guys would say, okay, you need to start here?
Well, maybe we have 2 or 3 questions, and you answer them. No, I think it's better. Maybe any question more. We have one there.
Many thanks, Fernanda. Congratulations to all of you. Very interesting presentations. Sara Medina from SPI. So we have, I work already with China already for almost 20 years and have been to China many, many times. It's always very exciting to go there. So my question is, the relations right now between Europe and China are quite tense. So how do you see the development, especially from the business perspective in the future in terms of Europe-China? Thank you.
Thank you, Sara. Another question? Yeah.
Hello. So I wanted to ask, well, to the whole panel, but especially digging in a concept that Laura presented, which is the differences when you want to enter into a new market, so existing market or a new market. And I would like if you could develop a little bit more, and maybe also in connection with what Professor Tavares said of if it makes more sense to join a partner that is existing there, or to export and do your own thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Just to add one more myth, according with your question, is a myth from Hong Kong. Chinese people, which used to say that the joint venture is like sleeping in the same bed and have different dreams. So this is a very challenging myth for joint ventures. And you please give us your ideas on the questions and the myths we are talking about.
One of the first things, when somebody wants to sell in China for the first time, is they think that selling in China is like selling to 1,500 people at the same time. It doesn't work like that. You really need to focus on your service, on your product, and then decide which is your market. It has nothing to see like selling in the south of China. We talked today about all the opportunities going on, than selling, for example, in Shanghai. The strategies are completely different. And we all should have into consideration there are 57 different cultures inside China. So regarding that, we should really all be aware it's really different between selling in one and another. And I still don't know any, like international case successfully in all China at the same time. Regarding the other question, I have to say that then the same, when you think about selling in China, it's not the same going to China to open a new market. So that means you want to be successful in the long term. You have to do consultancy. You have to invest a lot of money, marketing campaigns. You need to know which need are you solving in China. But selling in China it can be like opening a new market or selling in China. When we say selling in China, it's just about finding a distributor or somebody who can sell your product. So that's the first main difference between opening or just selling. And if you want, for sure, we can discuss later in the networking part, which are the key aspects about this, which I'm sure, like my colleagues know about this as well.
Thank you. So let me go one by one the questions. And first state, so this is my personal opinion and not reflecting on our organization. So starting with Gabriela, I think the question is, let me change it a little bit. So China has so many different regions, tones, and so on. So what is connecting it in my mind, it's business. There is no difference between north, south, middle, it's business. And for me, what is important, it's not the product, but who introduces that product, who introduces you. So if you go to Shanghai, you go to Beijing, you go to Shenzhen with a delegation, who introduces you? That's going to differentiate. There will be or there will not be a business, in my opinion and my 10 years experience. You can have a fantastic product, but if you don't have the right introduction, it's going to be very difficult. Then going towards the other question in terms of joint venture and mysteries, I don't think China is that mysterious compared to other new markets. So when you open a market, you have to do your homework, find local partners. If you did that in Portugal, probably everyone locally would suggest the same. Find a local partner. If you would do that in Brazil, find a local partner. If you do that in Hungary, find a local partner. It's not that mysterious, but the size and the effort, you have to multiply it with 140 times. This is what it is. The market budget, everything, the competition, that's 10 times higher. So if it's difficult to do business in Portugal, multiply it with 140 times. This is the difficulty of doing business in China. So why are people still doing it? Because it's lucrative once you succeed. But the chance of succeeding and the difficulty, that's high. And going back to Sarah's questions in terms of the European Union and the relationship, I believe that there is a political relationship and there is a business relationship. So business relationship, everyone is supporting to try to accelerate the trade between our regions. China and European Union both are powerhouses globally when it comes to trade. There is the pandemic, if it taught us something, it's interdependency and interconnectivity. When you think about the supply chains, how everything is happening, how the global economy operates. You cannot do business without China. You cannot do business without the European Union. We have to work together. And I believe all the people I talk to, business people, government officials, they understand that. So I'm positive about that. In the future, the relationship between the European Union and China is going to improve. It's going to become better and better. Pre-pandemic, we had a fantastic relationship going on. We were in discussion, signing an agreement for the investment, accelerating trade, giving a better playing field or a higher playing field for European companies in China. So I'm positive about the future of the Chinese-European relationship. There are ups and downs, but the goal, I believe, for both sides, it's try to work together stronger, do more business together, and improve the world together. Thank you.
Well, I have a different opinion about the relations between Europe and China. In my opinion, after some years of intense economic trade, economic business between both sides, at this moment, there are lots of new political problems involving international dynamics that are putting the relations between both sides a little bit more a little bit more difficult. There are some areas, of course, there are a lot of opportunities, but for instance, in areas such as technology, things are a little bit less intense at this moment. It depends, of course, the evolution of political system and situation in terms of international relations and so on. Because at this moment things are not very good. For instance, I look at the initiatives inside the Belt and Road Initiative in the Western Europe. Some of them, they are freezing. Some of that 16+1 projects or 17+1 projects, for instance, they are freezing at this moment. So things are not very good. There are intense discussion between both sides, and the things in the past were better than now, in my opinion. But of course, there are a lot of opportunities and a lot of areas in terms of business that they could grow in the near future. In terms of Mandarin, I think it's very important, the language, in terms, it's always, sometimes it's the secret. Doing business in China, when we talk about the language, of course, the English is the international language for business, but when we invest in a country using the Mandarin, using the own language of the country, I think it could be a secret to open the minds and discuss with the local agents. And another issue is, I think, when we go in terms of business to China, I think is the right guy is the secret. To find the right person. It's very difficult to find the right person sometimes in all our life. But in business and in case of China, we need the right person to give us, open us to the market, and the people in all this process. We can have the idea, we can have the company, we can have everything, but we need people, and people are the secret to introduce, to enter in the country and to do business. So you have to take care and choose the right people to do the right business in China. It's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any more questions? No. I would like to make short questions to you. The first is for Laura. Is China westernizing? I look at the slide you present on the ads you put there. They were all, majority or all Chinese faces. So we really are looking at China as a place where when we want to penetrate the market, we use a Chinese brand, or we have to translate in a proper way. And also the ads should utilize the references in Chinese, local, or Western. What is your experience on this communication level? You can use my. You can use this one.
Hello?
Hello.
So, well, in our opinion, you know, the best example is Ni Hao Conecta. As you can see, we officially started this project last October. So the reason why we started with Spain, then Latin America, and now Ibero-America, is because we are seeing a lot of interest in China in coming closer to Western. So that means, for sure, I always try at least, you know, like to teach. It's really important for us. For us, I mean, with the part of us that knows a little bit about China, to teach, to make us, you know, like both culture, to feel closer to each other, and to teach that China is not something as different as what we thought. So just to be like really, really fast, we and I say we because it's all Ni Hao Conecta, we all believe that China wants to do things with the rest of the world. I would say, you know, like they are really more into doing things than before. And for sure, the way is to try at least to teach a little bit more, like how close we are.
Thank you. David, well, Chinese don't trust foreigners. What can we do for getting the trust of Chinese?
I'm from Hungary, we don't trust anyone, so it's not a big surprise. I think it's not about where you're coming from, the level of trust. I think it reflects on the previous question that who introduces you. It's not about that you're coming from Portugal, Hungary, we don't trust you. It's about that we don't have history. Yeah, I think we should make a rule, we don't touch the microphone. Yes, so it's not about the lack of trust towards foreigners because you're coming from outside of China. It's about the lack of history of business. So I would say once you are, and reflecting on that, the key is the doing it with the right person, because that person has history of trust. If I've been doing business with you for 10 years, you introduce me, Gabriella, I will make sure that I do my best to help her. So I think it's not about foreigners, they don't have the trust. It's about the interaction. You have very limited interaction, the time you're spending there. And once you're building it up, the trust is gaining because the purpose for both sides is doing business. So I partially agree that they don't trust foreigners, but not because of foreigners. I would say it's because of the lack of interaction. And this is what we have to work on more and more and more. And this is why everyone's saying for like 30 years, 40 years that you should go to China. You have to go more than once. You have to keep in touch with these people. I would say the same when you come to Hungary, visit me more than once in a while. So we have stronger relationship. I trust in you and I'm willing to make a purchase order. And yeah, I know my product will arrive.
Thank you very much, David. George, what about the other myth that Chinese don't respect intellectual property rights? Is still something like that, or you have a different view?
Well, in a society that, in fact, in the past, everything was in common, the mentality in the past was common social system. It is difficult to change to a new mentality, respecting the individual rights or respecting property and respecting intellectual property. This China is transforming, of course. Now they are respecting because they are also creating new ideas. So they need to respect the international law in terms of property. So I think that things are improving at this moment in terms of international property, in terms of industrial property also, not only in terms in the creation of new ideas and new products, but also in terms of industrial systems. So my general idea about that topic, I think China is gradually respecting and entering the international system in terms of international property. But there's another point. In last years, because the system of joint ventures and cooperation between companies, I think many, not in terms of intellectual property, but in terms of transferring of knowledge. I think it's the idea. In English, I think I can say it this way. Many international companies, in fact, they give its ideas to partners in terms of China. I think for some of them, it's a problem because they share the knowledge, they share the technology, and the Chinese companies, they became autonomy. They became in fact they create its own business without the international partner. So it's in this case, I think it's a problem in terms of business. Some international companies, in fact, and countries, especially in countries, they create more barriers to not collaborate in terms of give and participate in cooperation, especially in terms of technology with Chinese companies, because that kind of transferation of technology. But China gradually is improving and is working in terms of international law.
Thank you very much. We have to finalize now. I feel that it was a very challenging and informative panel. I hope you have enjoyed and benefit all this experience of the speakers. And now I think we have another panel or we have coffee, yeah? I don't know. Thank you very much.